Good morning and welcome to Thursday Morning Conversations. I am Doodle Harris, Associate Pastor at Highland Pres, and we have with us this morning Linda Raymond Ellison, or as she likes to be called, the Raymond. Now we're going to talk with Linda soon, but some announcements first. One, this Sunday we return to in-person worship. Please sign up on our website. You can find that link on our Facebook page or on our website page. Linda, are you coming to worship this week? Soon. All right. Other announcements, this Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, we'll be walking the Big Four Bridge. Meet on the Kentucky side. Wear your mask. Bring your own bottle of water. Linda, have you walked the Big Four Bridge lately?
Oh, yes. Not lately, but yes, it's great.
I'm thinking about going to watch the steamboat race on Wednesday. Have you done that?
No, but that sounds great. I like sitting on I like being on the bridge and getting the barges to their homes.
Oh, fine. I've never done that.
Yes, it's best with kids.
Well, I've got two of them.
Yeah.
The other announcement we have is that on May the 16th, during worship, we will be saying goodbye to our amazing seminary intern, Megan Berry. If you have a chance between now and May the 14th and want to send in a card or a thank you note or something homemade to let her know how much we appreciate her time here at the church, hope you will do so. Get it into the church office by Friday, May the 14th, and we will give it to her in worship on the 16th. Also, happy birthdays this week. What a fun week to have a birthday. Happy birthday, Brad Devlin, Margie Ann Palmer. We miss you, Margie. Will Catlett, Ann Holmes, who I must say is the best CE assistant ever. Best one I've ever had, Ann. You're great. Laura Patterson, Courtney McClure, Logan Trenum, Brennan Burns, Bruce Plymell, Susan Miller, Beckett Kim, and we have 3 Derby birthdays this year. Happy birthday, Andy Harrell, Jerry Palmer, and Abby Wagner. We hope you all have a great celebration of you, and we are glad that you are part of our church.
Don't you love saying happy birthday to adults you knew when they were little kids? Like Brennan.
Brennan, that's right.
Yeah, remember when he was playing kid football?
I do remember that. Oh, yeah. I hope he has a great birthday.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, Linda, I have to ask you, why are you having an umbrella in our sanctuary?
Well, you said that you wanted me to talk about church history, so I thought I'd talk about the 1937 flood and the story of Thomas McAnvalvy.
Sorry, say that name again. Thomas McAnvalvy.
McAvaney.
Thomas McAvaney. Who is he? I don't know who that is.
Very few people know, but they should, because he is a true hero. He gave his life to help this church.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I tell the story, but you can put your umbrella down if you want to tell the story, because I don't think it's going to rain in here.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. People came here because it was dry during the flood. This was a refugee center. But you have to understand, we were coming out of the Great Depression. This church had had 5 really hard years. People lost their jobs, they lost their homes. You had 2 and 3 and 4 families living in a house. Church didn't get a lot of money, and we had to lay off a lot of people of our staff. The staff that remained, they cut their salaries. Thomas McAvaney was making only $900 a year.
Wow.
When this story happened. He and his wife lived in a room in back of a building there on Baxter, and he worked for this church when it started to rain. Now, the other thing you need to know is during the Great Depression, we had an old furnace.
Is that different from now?
It was even older, and it was even sicker, and it really needed to be replaced. But we had Thomas McAvaney, and he could fix it. And so we went into the new year, 1937, and everyone was optimistic. The Depression was ending. And in fact, Peter Plume preached a sermon that said, "New year, new cheer." Well, that wasn't optimistic. That was optimistic, but it wasn't justified. On January the 9th, the rain started falling, and it fell on frozen ground, and it fell, and it fell, and it fell, and Bear Grass Creek and the rivers started rising, and they rose with such force that the manhole covers popped off the sewers 17 feet into the air.
No way.
Yes. And all sorts of places that didn't seem like they'd be near the river flooded. 70% of Louisville was underwater.
Was it like Venice?
With islands in the middle. There was downtown, and there was the Highlands. And on other places, there was water up to people's second floor. People would come out on the roof to get groceries from boats.
Wow.
The only way to get out of your house was if you had a boat or if great big military trucks could come and get you. But then it got too deep and too bad for military trucks. There was water going down Broadway so fast and so hard that if you were in a boat, it would knock you against a telephone pole and break up the boat. And people drowned that way. People down at the Louisville Seminary pulled people out of the water. The old seminary down on Broadway.
Wow.
So it was bad. It was really, really bad. But a member of our church, William Airasmith, was an engineer, and he figured out a way to get people out of downtown. He figured out that if you took an empty whiskey barrel, it would float. And if they tied a lot of whiskey barrels together...
Wait a minute, a whiskey barrel?
A whiskey
That
barrel.
is so Louisville, Kentucky.
It happened here, and you heard it here.
Yes, it did.
And he built a wooden sidewalk, a lot like the bouncy bridge in the play park, just that wide, and it went across all the whiskey barrels. And people worked all night long in 20-degree weather in water that was horrible. It was cold, it was polluted with sewage and dead animals and stuff from industries. Think about the slaughterhouses, all that in the water. They worked all night long tying the sidewalk to telephone poles so it wouldn't wash away. Bear Grass Creek was flooded from about where Bunton's Seed Shop used to be on Jefferson to where Baxter Jack's volleyball is now.
Wow.
And this sidewalk went all that way, 3.5 long blocks, and it heaved up and down and up and down.
With the water.
With the water.
Wow.
But 75,000 people crossed that bridge before the flood was over.
That's amazing. That's a huge flood.
That's a huge flood. Biggest flood we've ever had.
Wow.
And when they got to the bottom of the bridge, there were ambulances waiting to take 6 people to the hospital. My grandfather was driving one of those ambulances, and other people were brought to churches like Highland. Okay, you have come across the bridge, 3.5 blocks, 10 feet apart from everybody else, and you finally gotten to Highland. Maybe Thomas helped you carry the suitcase up. Come in, and we've got a hospital set up. Okay, downstairs you got your horrible typhoid shot.
Was it worse than my COVID shot?
Absolutely. It had a big needle, and it got used over and over again, so it was kind of blunt, and it hurt. Everybody hated them. Remember the water? And then you came up here, and this was where you would stay with your whole family. Families got to stay together. And Thomas McAvaney hauled mattresses and cots up for every family. And this is where you would be.
This isn't a very big room.
It's not, especially if you had a lot of kids, like a lot of people did then. But it was dry, and it was warm, because Thomas McAvaney was keeping the furnace going. Now here's an interesting and important thing. Some of the people who stayed in our church were black, even though this was a time when there was intense segregation. But we took everyone. And the women of our church worked in this kitchen for 24 hours a day in 4 shifts. They made enough soup to feed up to 500 people a day. Now, when the Red Cross got involved, they brought us oatmeal and coffee. So now, every day, people could get 2 meals, oatmeal and soup, and oatmeal and soup, and oatmeal and soup. And that went on for 13 days and nights. Thomas McAvaney worked every day and every night. He carried cots and mattresses up all those stairs to the Sunday school rooms. He cleaned up messes. Now think about it. You've got families with kids here. No water, no toilets. You can imagine the messes. At that time, the city didn't have electricity, it didn't have water, it didn't have telephone service, and Highland had an outhouse out in the middle of Cherokee and Highland Avenue, right on top of the manhole cover. Think about that a while. For 2 hours a day, everybody got water, and they call that the flushing hour. And that's the way it was here. No one worked harder during this flood than Thomas McAvaney. He kept that furnace going for 13 days until the crisis was over, until the refugees left. But it was too much. Thomas McAvaney had a heart attack, and he died when he was just 55 years old. 55 years old. His coffin lay in the front of Highland Sanctuary so that people could come and say goodbye for 2 hours. Then it was taken to Lambton Baptist Church, his church. And our preacher, Peter Plynn, went and helped lead the service. There were many heroes during the Great Flood. Our women, William, who made the walk, the people who put it together. But I think Thomas McAvaney belongs at the top of the list. He didn't have much. He had hardly anything, but he gave it all. And I think that's worth remembering, Doodle.
Raymond, thank you for telling us that story.
Well, you know, I'm sorry I got all tongue-tied, but Thomas McAvaney deserves remembering.
I agree. That's a really powerful story, and it helps us remember how long our tradition of helping others extends, and how important some people have been to those traditions.
Yes.
So, thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
This week, we are so pleased to have Linda Raymond Ellison with us. Next week, we get Robin Sekula. Robin Sekula is the chairperson of our Mission Study Committee. She's going to let us know how that's going and how you can continue to help in our mission study, which will guide us as we find a new pastor here at Highland. So, hope you'll tune in for that.
Absolutely.
And I will see you all there. Bye.
Thank you.